Hello everyone, this is a tutorial how to make Grover 2's Titanfall hands. These hands are the same across all his titans, so this tutorial will be relevant for all his models. So, when you print it, it'll be something like this, will come off the printer. So, let's get started. For tools, you're going to need tweezers, some sort of cutting instrument, and very important, fuse wire, particularly 15 amp. That is the best I've found so far. You can find this online or any Home Depot or hardware store near you. After you got all that, let's clean up the parts. Gently remove the finger components from the print. Beware not to snap them off. Gently separate them so they're individual pieces. After that's done, you should have something like this. We need to clean up the excess plastic so we have a nice, clean component. Gently remove it with the tweezers. Make sure there is no excess plastic on the sides, so scrape them off using the side of the tweezers. After you're done, you should have something like this. Repeat the process until all components are cleaned up. The fingers are made up of two components. We'll just call this the top of the finger, and this one, the bottom of the finger. For the next step, we'll be using the bottom of the finger. We're going to need that fuse wire. So, before I get started, why are we using fuse wire? Well, fuse wire is a bit more flexible than staples and paper clips. It holds its shape very well. So it's perfect for the job. There are many types of fuse wire, but I found 13 amp is a lot better than anything else. It's just that happy medium between flexibility and usability. So try and find that first. Cut a bit off, roughly an inch or half an inch, up to you, but more is always better. Grab the bottom of the finger piece and thread it through the hole at the top. You should have something like this. Grab another finger piece and thread it through the same. Make sure they meet in the middle. Now, bend the fuse wire around the components so they're squashed together. Make sure the two pieces of fuse wire are at the top, like this. Now, squeeze them even further. You might need some tweezers to help. Push the fuse wire to the sides of the piece. For different fingers, you're going to have a different orientation. We're working on this one. Slowly begin to move the components apart, but make sure you don't damage the hinge mechanism. Fold the fuse wire around the back to secure the pieces together. When it's done, you should have something like this. I recommend putting any excess fuse wire around the back to make sure the hinge doesn't fall apart. Here's another example of the two different pieces you need to make. This is their orientation. Let's move on to finishing off the fingers. Cut off another piece of fuse wire, get the top of the finger, and repeat the same steps. Again, fold the fuse wire on top and force the ends together. Push the fuse wire along the sides and underneath the piece. When you're done, you should have a piece like this. This is a completed finger. It's fully movable and shouldn't break apart when moved. Let's connect it up to the palm. This finger connects here. Cut another piece of fuse wire and curve it ahead of time. This will make it easier to connect it up to the palm. Insert the wire into the middle hole on the palm. I recommend you do the middle finger first. It makes life easier later on. Take your completed finger and thread it onto the wire. Grab some tweezers to compress the joint and fold the wire onto itself once again. This is the most fiddliest bit of the build. This will take some time and patience. Once again, curve the wire alongside the piece and underneath the joint. Test that the finger can move around and the joints don't fall apart. When you're done, you should have something like this. Let's move on to the fun. Cut another piece of fuse wire. Put on a bottom of the finger and a top of the finger, one after the other. And push them together and curve the wire over them. Push the wire together, guide it down the sides of the piece and underneath. When you're done, you should have something like this. This is a completed thumb, and it goes here. Let's attach it. Cut another piece of fuse wire, thread it onto the piece, and curve the wire. Thread it into the hand and push the two pieces together. Curve the wire over the top and down the sides. Tidy up the loose wire underneath and you're good to go. You should have something like this. All the fingers move and they are solid in place. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip over the other fingers. The process is the same, just slightly different for the last finger. This is the orientation of the other fingers. Thread them and attach them like before. After that, you have a completed hand. All the joints should be fully movable and not deform. There's one last final step just to improve the durability of these fingers. Gently spray paint it 1 or 2 times and make sure the paint gets into the joints of the fingers. This is what it's like when it's dry. It also adds some resistance to the fingers, so you could morph it into a thumbs up or make it grasp a weapon. I hope you find this guide useful, and if you have any questions, please message me or comment down below.